Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to an aerial view can change your view, Gaur Das. Well, I was like, yeah, obviously you no longer have a ground view, you have an aerial view, so obviously your view is gonna change. But I'm wondering if he's gonna be talking about more along the lines of having either an outside perspective or putting your perspective on the outside. Seeing it if you were not involved but someone else's, and how would you tell that person how to handle that situation that you technically are in? And for me, I look at this a couple different ways. For me, I look at getting other people's perspectives. That's why I always try to listen to people's opinions. Because obviously, people can have different opinions. Sometimes it can enlighten you to see in a different perspective or a change of view, and perhaps you have a better understanding of the world. And this is something that I push quite a lot: understanding. I think when you understand things, you tend to suffer less, because when you know why something has happened, you don't tend to be as frustrated as much. Don't get me wrong, you could be frustrated, but you won't be as frustrated as much. It's like, why did this happen to me? As opposed to like, oh my god, I know why it happens to me. But at least you know, and I don't think you'll be as frustrated. This is how do I say, I guess this is my form of enlightenment. I don't know what to call it. My form of reduced suffering, that'd be the best. It's just understanding. But let's hear what Gaur has to say.
How many of you guys regularly fly? Sure, many of you do. I can see
Not
many
regularly.
hands going up there. Well, I spend about 50% of my time flying, trying my tiny bit to help others in whatever small way I can. And isn't it a fact that when you fly in an airplane and look down, the land looks beautiful from the air. The well-organized buildings, natural water bodies, and what to speak of the zigzagging roads, especially when everything is beautifully lit up in the night.
Yeah.
Everything looks so organized and perfectly planned. In fact, every single time I fly, I am astonished by the stunning sights. But then, do we experience the same beauty when we are on the land? We crib and complain about how unstructured the buildings are, how bad the roads are, etc., etc., etc.
Real quick, is he gonna say we're too busy looking at the minuscule things and making such a big deal out of it, but when you look at the grander picture, these problems are in reality really small? Which is very true for the most part. I have to say that because obviously there can be some serious small issues that are life altering, but generally speaking, I think a lot of people tend to blow up tiny things, thinking that it's the end of the world, even though it's just a small problem. Especially in, I'd say, in developed areas. I say this because I don't think it's just a Western thing. I used to think it's just a Western thing, but I'm starting to see that it's probably more along the lines of developed areas, and I'm just wondering if humanity is just prone to do this once the area becomes developed. Once we solve hunger, thirst, and shelter in terms of our local area, that the little problems become the big problems because the big problems are now gone.
And to be honest, many times they are bad, and sure enough, they need to be worked upon. Yet, when we fly higher, we see a structure, a sense of organization, a sense of beauty. And that's how life is as well. We keep grumbling about so many things that are not right in our life. And surely, like the poor roads and buildings, we need to do what we can to repair the situation. While we do that, however, wouldn't it be amazing to reflect and see that these situations are meant to strengthen us, to improve us, to help us become more responsible? The next time you think you're going through a bad phase, definitely do what you can to resolve it. But also soar higher and see how beautiful it looks from up there. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seat belts. We are now ready for the takeoff.
Okay, not too shabby. I mean, I will say this is like another great advice that I think, again, what I used to think is a Western problem, but perhaps again it seems to always go to developed, is that we tend to, how do I say, anytime there's any kind of rough patch, trouble, we tend to just give up really easily and not really say, what's the right word? I don't want to say fight it, but to push through it. I guess that might be the right word. To say, this is what I want, a rough patch hit, and he's like, nope, never mind, I don't want it anymore because it's too hard. As opposed to just saying that, he's like, this is what I want, this is a rough patch, I want it really bad, I'm going to pursue it, I'm going to push through it, whatever it takes for me to get there. Push through the rough spots. And what that does, it helps you become stronger in terms of your ability to not just give up so easily. Also, hopefully it makes you stronger in terms of how you think through problems, sort of how you handle problems. Because I think people who have never been frustrated or never met difficulties in their lives will give up much easier, just merely because, not everyone, but I think most people have not experienced difficulties in their life will tend to give up easier because they've never faced that before. There are some people who will push through it and understand it and never experienced it before, but I think probably majority of people probably will give up to a degree. Because why pursue something that you want that's difficult when there's another thing that's maybe just as good and there's no trouble getting it? Just forget that, let me go for that. And it's kind of what I noticed going on in the dating life as well. Not me, just in the dating life in general. It applies to a lot of things in life, really. When they want something and they can't get it, they blame someone else, not themselves. It's kind of a sad thing. But anyways, I wanted to react to this video just merely because I was kind of curious as to what Gaur has to say about this. And he does give a lot of, how do I say, good life lessons that are not too corny. in my opinion, they kind of are, but at the same time, they're actually really good. And hopefully, I throw in a few pennies into this knowledge base that we're hopefully trying to develop here. But anyways, this is my reaction to an aerial view can change your review. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.